Hello friends, I'm FIDE instructor Atul Dahale and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to see a very interesting game played between Ian Nepomniachtchi and Wesley So. This game was played in the final round of the Grand Chess Tours Rapid and Bliss tournament which happened in the city of Paris. Well, one very important factor about this tournament is that this tournament was played over the board, and we were all dying to see all the top players playing over the board tournaments, and this was a great treat for all the chess viewers and chess lovers. I hope that you enjoyed all the videos which were being published on different YouTube channels and Twitch channels. Okay, coming back to the game, this was the final game as I already mentioned, and Wesley So was already leading in the tournament, and Nepo was trailing by almost 2 points, and he was fighting very hard to win against Wesley So to create his dominance, because he is going to be the challenger in the upcoming World Chess Championship match which he will be playing against reigning World Chess Champion Magnus Carlsen in Dubai. Well, he tried a very interesting tropical line, you can say. Nowadays the best variation, Adiban's course has already been published, that is the b3 variation, and he kept on fighting and he kept on attacking on Wesley So's king. But Wesley So played just like a cool as cucumber, you can say. He defended his position, and when he got the chance he won the game in great style. So without further delay, we'll be starting with the game. But before we go further, don't forget to like this video and leave a comment about how did you find this video and all. Okay, and one more thing, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are new here. So Nepo was white, he started with b3. Okay, then Wesley So played d5. Okay, then bishop to b2 was played. After bishop b2, knight of 6. Okay, he is just blocking this bishop's diagonal. e3, bishop f5. Wesley is getting his pieces out in the middle. Knight to f3, e6, then c4. Well, now the game will be converted into d4 d5 variation kind of things. Okay, now it is pure d4 d5. Only thing is that the bishop has come out in this game, and the opening name is Nimjoy's last on attack, you can say. Here Wesley goes for the center, he plays knight to e4. Obviously he is putting some pressure over here as well as here. a3 was played in order to block this square. Now bishop b4 is no longer possible. Okay, Wesley says like, okay, I'm going to play bishop to d6. Then bishop d3 was played. Knight captures on c3, because if you wait for longer duration of time here, then white will be capturing on e4 at some point and your pawns will be doubled. So maybe he did not want those kind of things, so he plays knight into c3, bishop captures on c3, bishop into d3, queen into d3. Now the bunch of pieces has been removed from the board, and they go for the liquidation in the center of the board. So he wants to play e5 in this position, but immediately you cannot really play e5, because you should always pay attention to attackers and defenders. If you play e5, then you have only two defenders here, the bishop and the knight, and black well, white has 1, 2 and 3 attackers, so you will just lose the pawn in that case. So he prepares for that thing by playing queen to e7. Now e5 is the threat. Okay, he castles, very simple move. And now before you go for the e5 and all, he first of all thinks that okay, white is trying to play on the queen side, so I must stop those ideas. So he plays a5. Very clever idea. You should always pay attention to what your opponent wants to play in the position, guys. Okay, because it's the sign of a good player. If you don't pay attention to your opponent's idea, then you're not playing the game in the right fashion, I will say. Okay, so white plays e4 before black plays e5. Okay, no problem. He just castles in this position, not afraid of e5 move, because let's suppose you play e5, then bishop into a3 will be a possibility, because a3 pawn was also hanging in that situation. Okay, he plays bishop to b2. One more thing I want to tell you, that before the move you can ask me this thing, why not play bishop into a3 in this position? But if you go for bishop into a3, then c5 will be played and this bishop will never come in the game. So this was also one of the ideas of playing a5, because now if you get the chance, let's suppose you play any random move, h3 kind of a move, then bishop into a3 can be one of the possibilities, because after c5 bishop okay, wait, no, I'm making mistake. Okay, here castling is obviously the correct answer here, because the thing is that after this move, if you play anything like this, if you play c5 here, the bishop b4 is coming. In the previous version it was not coming, because bishop into b4, a into b4, the rook on a8 was hanging, but now it is well protected, so it's a possibility that you can go for this thing. Okay, Now he plays bishop b2 supporting the pawn on a3, and after this he captures on e4, queen into e4, knight comes on the f6 square, the queen is being attacked, queen moves to h4 square. Well, white is already ready to play on this side of the board. Knight g5 will be played, then the queen will be attacking on h7, the pawn is ready to move forward, and then this bishop will be doing something on this diagonal. So here he plays b5, okay, then bishop c1, okay, the bishop is going to come on g5 square. Before white activates all his pieces and the attack will be flowing, he goes for b into c4 to create his own chances in the game. B into c4, and now he plays c5. Breakthroughs are very important. One more thing I want to tell you guys, whenever it's all about the flank attack, you need to break into the center, okay. The flank attack, it's like the boxing match. If somebody is hitting you on the right side or left side, you need to try and block that punch, and you should hit him in the center, okay, then he will be distracted. So now a4 is played, rook comes on the c8 square, obviously putting some pressure on the c4 pawn. Now he plays bishop to e3, okay, fine, c into d4, bishop into d4. This pawn is actually not a free pawn. If you capture rook into c4, then obviously bishop into f6 will be played. The queen is attacked, your queen is also being attacked. Let's suppose you play this thing, then bishop into e7, bishop into e7, and then knight captures on h4. Here black will be extended down, and that's not a good news for black. So he did not go for this c4 pawn, which looks like a free pawn, but it's not a free pawn. He plays rook a b8, trying to get this rook here and maybe pressurizing this c4 pawn on the next moves. Okay, white plays bishop c3 supporting this pawn, and as well as controlling this b4 square, and a5 pawn is being attacked now. Okay, so Wesley So goes for bishop b4. He says like, okay, I want to neutralize the position, because if I capture it here, then all the pawns, means both the pawns will be very weak, and he can definitely get one pawn. And that's what happened in the game also. He kept on pressurizing the c4 pawn because it's a weakness in the position. Now here Nepo played bishop e5. He is not ready to exchange the pieces. He did not go for that thing. Bishop d6. Okay, he's again asking for the exchanges, but well, he did not go for that thing now. Well, he played rook d1. Okay, bishop into e5, knight into e5, and now queen to c7. Now the queen is attacking the knight, and if the knight moves, then the queen into c4 will be a possibility. So here he plays queen g5, putting some pressure over here, and c4 pawn is also protected by the knight, and knight is protected by the queen, so we don't need to worry, right? Okay, so queen c5, pinning this knight. At some point, if the knight moves, then the queen exchange will happen, and obviously, as I said earlier, the endgame will be much more better for black here. So he plays queen to f4, rook b7. Okay, he is going for doubling also, and he is supporting this pawn on f7. Both the ideas are there. h3 has been played, h6, making some rule, because white is also making some room in this position. So both the sides are playing like that. Rook to d3. Now rook c b8. Okay, you are going for rook to b1 at some point if it's needed. King h2. Now rook comes on the 7th rank. It's a good strategy to always put the rook on the second or the 7th rank whenever it's possible. Now f2 is being attacked by two pieces, so he supports the pawn with rook to f3. Now he plays queen c7. Okay, again he's putting some pressure on this diagonal, because king, queen, and the knight, all three pieces are in the same diagonal. So okay, he plays rook e1. Now rook a2, preparing for rook b2, as well as the a4 pawn is being attacked in this position. What to do? Well, Nepo understands that he is in little bit trouble, and he needs to attack, he needs to counter attack. So he plays queen g3, a good move actually, I say. Now rook into f6 is one of the threats in this position, because the pawn on g7 is pinned, because the queen is there on this diagonal. Okay, he plays king h7, unpinning the pawn. Now he plays queen h4, again putting some pressure, because now rook f6, g f6, and maybe this h6 pawn will be weak after knight g4, and all these pawns will be attacked in that case. He plays rook b2, not afraid of anything like that, because in the end rook f2 and rook g2 is also going to come. So here he plays after this rook e3. Okay, he is getting ready for with all the pieces. Now in such positions, when we are playing, we get afraid of the attack, that we feel like, okay, the attack is going to come and everything. But the strong players like Wesley So, they understand that, okay, I also have counter chances in the position, I just need to keep playing the game in good fashion. And that's how he played. He just played rook to e2, trying to exchange one of the rooks. He did not go for it. Queen d4 was played. Now pawn on f2 is falling. Both the players, I must say that were short of time, but Nepo was a little bit more short of time, and now he got his idea. He got his chance and he never really looked back from this position. c5 was played. Now the knight comes into the center. This is always a good knight. Okay, it becomes like the octopus knight, as I always talk about this thing, because it controls 8 squares in the position, and that's the treat for the eyes also, and the player who is playing from the side, who is having the knight in the center of the board. Obviously white knight was also there. It was also a good knight. Rook to g3. Okay, finally he is trying to do something, but now rook f4, cutting off the white's queen from the position. Queen goes to b2 square, and now rook f5. This knight is being attacked. Okay, knight goes behind. Now queen into g7 is the threat, which will lead to a check and mate, but now knight f6 stopping this threat altogether, and now the c5 pawn is definitely going to fall in this position. He plays queen b6. Now c5 pawn falls with it the game also. Final few moves were played. Queen b1 check, king g8, and then knight comes on the d4 square. Knight h5 attacking the knight with the queen, and now it's a pin also. It's almost over. He plays knight e2 and knight into g3. Finally in this position, Nepo decided to resign the game, and Wesley So won the tournament with this cool game. I hope that you enjoyed this analysis and this game also with me, and we'll be meeting very soon with some exciting game. We will be analyzing more games of Wesley So, guys, and coming tournaments also. So do subscribe to my channel for regular updates. See you then. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye. Take care.